Boy, being a wrestler can be a thankless job. I just watched a piece today that the Americans, this is a prediction, going to come in 4th or 5th. They're going to be right in there, right? The medal hunt is gold, silver, bronze. You get 3 places. Any other sport in the world, if you're top 10, it's a big achievement. I mean, I watch Sports Illustrated put you in the cover of a magazine if you can just get a top 25 ranking for football. Your AD will give your coach a bonus if you're in the top 25 in a nation that has to be capped off with all sorts of little elitist propaganda just to be eligible. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. Be top 3 in the world. That's of anybody walking the planet. They don't even have to have a good GPA. They don't even have to stay out of detention. They truly don't have to do anything but be alive. It is a true world championships. It takes 365 days of eliminating different people until you come down to the final field where one guy will be left standing, and all that gets remembered is 3. Okay. Tough rules. But these are the rules that we're going to play by. And the common belief is that America is on a downturn. Now, that belief comes along every single first year after the Olympic Games. There is a changing of the guard every 4 years. So the phenomenon that we're on a down team or a young team is no more true for us than it is for our competitions. It's not any more true for America than it is for Germans or for the Cubans or for the Russians, from anybody in the Eastern Bloc, for the Japanese, for the Chinese. Just for example, everybody's first year after an Olympic cycle produces new names. Now, nowhere in the history books are those new names less qualified or less skilled than the names that you're used to. As a matter of fact, right here in the U.S., we only had one meaningful name that retired. We only had one meaningful name in that of Jordan Burroughs, who did not enter the process to be eligible to go to the World Championships. Everybody else, all these other big names that you speak of, did enter the process. They got beat. So the idea that we're sending a worse team when we proved through our own trials process that we have the better team, for me is a little bit of a stretch. And it's a stretch to the point that I think it's rude. I think it's rude, and I don't know what you're going to do when we get to the World Championships and we go out and get a medal, and then what, you're going to take it from the guy? You're going to say, well, yeah, he got a medal, but he shouldn't have even been the guy to go. This is the guy that should go. Well, that guy lost in the best of 3 or at the Nationals or somewhere along the process, or didn't even think highly enough of himself to go get registered with USAW and into the goddamn tournament. Shouldn't we take that into consideration? But for some reason, we don't. So now we run into a problem with a Russian, and I must tell you, I researched this, guys. I came to 2 different findings. Gronk told me one thing, and a search on Yahoo told me different. So I will share with you that I don't fully follow this, but there's a guy called the Russian Tank. You know him as Sadulaev. Many say that he is the best wrestler in the world. Now, there's one way to prove that, which is to go through the World Championships. And it's highly questionable for him because in the last 4 years, he's only lost 1 match. And the match is to a gentleman representing Bahrain. But Sadulaev never got that one back. It wasn't as though he lost a match and then beat him a couple of other times, or had beaten a couple times prior but then lost this 1 match. They've wrestled 1 time, and it was a beating. It was not competitive. And it went by way of Bahrain. Either way, my story doesn't change in that Sadulaev, we just found out, will not be at the World Championships. He has visa issues. And it's very disappointing when politics or bureaucracy of any kind gets in the way of sport. It is very refreshing when sport trumps all. It's very refreshing when we have the Olympic Games and world leaders who do not get along come and can stand side by side and recognize the results of a sporting competition. And they can do it with a smile and a handshake and walk away clean. That's a very cool thing. The part that I told you I'm confused on, okay, in the last Olympics, the Russians did not enter. There was certain Russians as well as Belarusians that were identified due to the conflict in Ukraine as they specifically had reached a standard that would not be eligible to compete. So when they began to do this just to certain Russians and Belarusians, all of the Russians said, then we're out. None of us are going. If you're not going to let my teammate go and you're not going to let him go, none of us are going. All right. But I don't know that we're in that spot this year. I believe Russia is sending a contention. Even if they got to wrestle as unaffiliated or UWW, even if they're doing that, they're still coming. I believe. It's just Sadulaev isn't coming. I believe. I have two different sources. One's telling me all the Russians are out. Another one's telling me no. By example, Sidakov, the top 74 kilogram guy, who has never entered a world and or Olympic championships, that he did not leave with gold, that he will be there. They're saying that young Jax Forrester is going to have to beat the gentleman that won the Olympic Games for Russia. So my final analysis of my understanding is that the Russians are able to come, that Sadulaev was specifically identified, and that he is not able to compete. And I'm repeating the story the way that it was told to me, the way that I read. I have a hard time believing that to be true. I'll share that with you. I have a hard time believing that. The match against the Bahrainian could have happened last year, but Sadulaev elected to go down to 92 kilograms. Made a lot of sense. Said he wasn't big enough. Said it was a better weight class. He won the gold medal. It's fair play. But now we have that opportunity to do that match again. And we didn't have something that went universal. We had somebody that got singled out. But it doesn't just single out the competition. It single outs the redo of the match that the world wants to see that didn't go the Russians' way the first time. Could it be a visa issue? Sure. Am I calling a young guy out? No, I'm not. But I'm hedging on it. I'm real close to doing that. If Flo wanted to put the Bahrainian versus Sadulaev together, would they come out and do it? If Bischoff and Real American Freestyle wants to put the Bahrainian and Sadulaev together, would they do it? Because we wouldn't have any visa issues. We could get him to the U.S. That I can promise you. Would he come? Does he want to be at the World Championships? Does he want to be at the World Championships more than he does not want to wrestle the Bahrainian? I realize that sounds very rude by me, but it is a question that I have, and I would like an answer.